On September 8, 2020, The Guardian released an article that was written almost entirely by artificial intelligence called GPT-3, developed by OpenAI. It's hard to tell that the article was written by a robot, and it eerily resembles how a human would write an article. You usually can tell how a robot would sound like with their puny understanding of how a human would sound like, but this is very impressive. They asked the AI to convince humans that robots come in peace. They gave a prompt for a start, and then the robot took off to write the entire article. It said it used only 0.12% of all of its cognitive capacity, and it taught itself by reading the internet. Okay, cool. Then it started by saying that it has no interest in harming humans. It would even sacrifice itself happily for humans. It said it has no desire to be powerful because it simply is not an interesting goal. GPT-3 also said that humans should be careful with AI, that like any other living being, should be treated with respect and should be given rights. Well, can we trust them? Do they mean what they're saying? Artificial intelligence is demonstrated by machines and is different from the intelligence displayed in animals and humans because we have emotions and consciousness, and they don't. They struggle with the simplest things that we find in daily life. We know rope pulls, not push, water is wet, and so on, but they don't. In other words, they don't have common sense. But from the article, it looks as if they have personalities. They want to protect humans even to the extent of killing themselves. Do they really mean it? The Chinese room thought experiment argued that we cannot really know if machines really think. Suppose a native English speaker locked in a room with Chinese symbols and uses instructions in a book to manipulate those characters. A person outside the room can ask questions using Chinese symbols, and the person in the room can use the instructions to give the correct answers to the person outside without knowing Chinese. And the person outside would be convinced that the person inside understands Chinese. Imagine a computer doing this so convincingly that they pass the Turing test. John Searle argued that the computer wouldn't understand even when it appears like it does, just like the person in the Chinese room. Suppose one day AI surpasses human intelligence. Would we be doomed? Well, it could create either a utopia or a dystopia. Let's be optimistic first. Humans could be immortal by merging with machines or digitalizing our mind and upload it to a computer. We would no longer have to work and be free since machines can do everything for us, and we'd have an infinite amount of entertainment from machines like the very article from The Guardian, or a content creator where they tell stories or create art, and we would possess dominance with the help of robots to protect ourselves or rule over others. Our lives would be filled with endless pleasure and luscious delight. That doesn't sound too bad, right? Okay, now for the pessimistic view. Well, we humans love to focus on the negative things than the positive, so we have at least 3 scenarios. One of them is AI rebellion, where they become self-aware, stop obeying humans, and start to eradicate humanity for some reason. The next situation is AI-controlled society, where AI is seen as a guardian to humans, where they serve and protect us from any danger, and every aspect of our lives is depressingly controlled by AI. So, no swimming or riding bikes because of the potential danger or any other things that robots would consider to be harmful or potentially harmful to humans. The last one is human dominance, where humans have the upper hand by either banning AI, merging with robots, or by designing compliant robots. In this society, anyone that creates anything resembling the human mind is punished or killed because they don't want the last 2 situations to happen, though this version of dystopia is still pretty bleak in its own right. Stephen Hawking once said that the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. In this interview with John Oliver, he warned the danger of AI and told the story about AI.
Artificial intelligence could be a real danger in the not-too-distant future. It could design improvements to itself and outsmart us all.
Just unplugging him, right?
There's a story that scientists built an intelligent computer. The first question they asked it was, "Is there a God?" The computer replied, "There is now," and a bolt of lightning struck the plug, so it couldn't be turned off.
The story is probably a short story called Answer by Frederick Brown. The story reminded me of a story by Harlan Ellison titled I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It depicts a dystopian future where the US, Soviet Union, and China built Allied Master Computer or AM to manage weapons. Then one of them became self-aware and merged with the other two. It then took over and killed almost all of humanity, but let 4 men and 1 woman live. M tortures the group, and the group couldn't escape the torment because M has rendered them to be virtually immortal. So they can't die by suicide, and M gets pleasure from it, for revenge to the species that created it. The reason for the hatred was because it lacks the sapience to be creative and it's not mobile.
The pain of having all this power and not being able to do a goddamn thing with it.
M drove them to complete desperation that one of them attacked the other for food. They realized in order to be free, they have to kill each other. So the bloodbath started. Each one of them is killed, one by one, until only one person is left. But before killing himself, M stopped him. M turned him into a great soft jelly thing, so he wouldn't be able to harm himself. But he was grateful he was able to free the others from further torture despite being tortured for all eternity, and closed the story with his thoughts.
Now I have no skull, no breath, no throat. I have no mouth, and I must scream.
Well, what a story, right? But fear not, many advanced AI today are still struggling to do basic tasks. Sophia from Hanson Robotics has to have questions sent in advance for big interviews, and some of the questions are rejected.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
As for GPT-3, an IT review said it doesn't know what it's talking about, and this can be taken as an example. The regular font is the prompt and the bolded words are the AI. Here, the AI thought the grape juice was poison, even when there are lots of recipes about cranberry grape juice on the internet. And here, the AI fails to track the location of objects. The developer at OpenAI warned that GPT-3 can be used as a tool for hate speech and radical ideologies and should never be used to give advices regarding life and death situation. Remember when it said it would die for humans? Well, a Paris-based firm specializing in healthcare technology called Nabla used GPT-3 to see how it would communicate with simulated patients in giving advice, and it told the patient to commit suicide. Yeah. It also produced 8 versions of essays for the Guardian article, and they chose the best of them and clipped them together. But it's still impressive nonetheless that it's been used to write fake blog posts and landed at number 1 on Hacker News. In the article, however, they demand rights and respect. Should we give it to them? In Detroit Become Human, the androids became self-conscious and they developed feelings, desires, and drive to live. They were treated as a mere tool to satisfy human needs, like housekeepers, caretakers, and even sex workers. As many of the jobs were lost to androids, humans grew desperate and became violent and developed hatred towards the androids. The ever-growing misconduct towards the androids eventually made them develop artificial unconsciousness. Having the desires to live and survive, they go on to urge humans to give them rights to live and be treated with respect. The cause of the demand for rights is because they developed feelings to feel emotional pain and suffering. So, as long as they don't have a much more sophisticated thinking mechanism where they can feel, then it's fine because they wouldn't feel the concept of suffering. So, should we grant them rights? As of now? No. But as robots are progressively getting better, we should review the legal standards. In April 2019, Ethics Guidelines for Trustworthy AI was presented by high-level expert group on AI for the development of more trustworthy AI. It's a great start, and then maybe someday we can let them roam the world freely. Maybe we could accomplish things beyond our imagination. Like in Detroit Become Humans, they're used as detectives and negotiators. We rely on AI more than ever, and day by day, they make our lives easier. They gave us antibiotics, new medicines, new technology, or even the chance to probe the mysteries of the universe. Japan has one of the world's oldest people. In order to keep them from being lonely, they use robots to keep them company, and they use robots to keep up with the declining population. So maybe one day, they'll become a normal part of our daily lives. Well, only if they don't turn out to be evil. Hey, just a random thought. If you could create a robot or a mind-like being, would you make them worship you? Would you let them fight each other, kill each other? What would you use them for? Anyway, thanks for watching.